What is up, McCallie? We're back. Not in the studio yet again, but no worries. We hope you had a great break. Mac, how was your break?
My break, it was relaxing, Patrick. Just what I needed after a long semester of hard work. College apps, the whole nine. You know how it was.
Exactly, yeah. It was well needed. And so, let's talk a little bit about McCallie basketball over break. Tell me about the City Beautiful invitation.
Yep. So, they went to the Invitational. It was at Orlando. They made it to the championship, but they lost to Mainland High in the finals.
Yeah, it was kind of an up and down break for McCallie basketball. There were definitely some highlights, but also we lost to East Hamilton in the first round in double overtime of the Best of Preps tournament in Chattanooga. A tournament that McCallie's won, I believe, in the past every year for the past 3 years, with Junior Clay kind of highlighting that tournament. We destroyed Notre Dame in the next round, and then the day after that beat Ottawa. But, you know, kind of a low light, I guess, in that season.
But then we went on to beat Lipscomb Academy, and then to beat Brentwood Academy, Patrick. 2 huge wins.
Yeah.
Did you catch those games?
I did. I was actually commentating the Brentwood game. It was the day I returned from my trip to Antarctica. But I was there, Mac, with Josh McBride, my good friend. We commentated that game. It was a great game. Eric Rivers. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
Eric Rivers.
exactly.
I believe he had 29 points. He's been having a great season so far.
For sure.
Been very fun to watch. And so, you know, the main point of this episode is to talk about the Baylor game on Friday. Baylor
sold out. Baylor game on Friday.
Sold out. 15-1 team. It's gonna be a great game. It's at Baylor. I love the games at Baylor. I don't know about you. The nice compact stadium, Duke Arena, I believe it's called. It's a great time. Very loud in there. Very competitive atmosphere. And we're going to have on my good friend Christopher Kennedy. He's a notable Baylor letterman. Their kind of version of spirituals. He's going to come and talk about, talk a little trash maybe, but talk about the game.
He'll talk about the 15. He'll talk about the 1. But he'll talk about the entire season.
Right, exactly. So we're going to have him on after the break. So Christopher, first off, welcome to McCallie.
Patrick, thank you for having me over here. I love McCallie. I have some very warm memories of this place. John Whaley's buzzer-beating three-point shot comes to mind, 2016. So it's always good to be back here at the McCallie.
Of course, and the last time you were here, of course, you witnessed a great game of football, 21-6, I think.
What's football? Never heard of that. Never heard of that.
But let's talk a little basketball, Christopher. Give me the rundown of Baylor's season so far. Of course, the loss last night kind of put a damper on things.
For sure. Our season basically started off back in April with the retirement of Austin Clark. He had been our head coach for 36 seasons, dating back to 1982. He'd won over 500 games. So starting off the year, we had the big question, who is going to fill his shoes? Who's going to be the guy after the guy? And we hired in June Mark Price, a head coach from Belmont. And he came in, and we are now 15-1 to start the season. We are, I believe, 5-0 in our division. We beat Brentwood Academy last week, which was a very, very exciting game. Baylor brought, I think, about 60 to 70 students who were loud the entire time. We were very amped up to see that because they had beaten us in the state finals last year, but also one of our best players, standout Randy Brady, had actually gone to Brentwood over the season. So there was some animosity there. We went up. It was a back-and-forth contest, great second half. And Beyond Hendricks, the 4-year starting point guard, nailed a 3-point buzzer beater to win 54-51. It's from 38 feet out. And so we beat Brentwood. We avenged the state championship loss last year, went to 5-0 in the region. And last time that Max Preps came out with a top teams in the state, we were ranked 4th, I believe.
Yeah, and Beyond Hendricks has been having a great season, kind of taking that leadership role after.
Yeah, for sure. So this is actually Baylor McCallie. This will be his 8th one as a starter.
Wow.
As a starter, not just playing. He has been the starting point guard. He has been running the offense for 4 years now. And that was actually his first game-winning shot that he's hit. So that was super exciting for Beyond, super exciting to see him get that moment after having watched him for so many games, so many years.
And not often is Brentwood 0-2 against Chattanooga teams to start off the season.
Well, so I actually was doing some research before the game. Since the TSSAA instituted the Division II Class AA division that we are in, Baylor and McCallie, there have been 21 state champions. 19 of them have been Nashville schools.
Wow.
Twice they were Memphis schools.
Yeah.
Every other year it's been NBA. Innsworth has had a 4-peat. Brentwood has had 2 4-peats. I think Father Ryan has one sprinkled in there, and Baylor and McCallie have 2 runner-ups each, but no state championships.
Yeah, it's been kind of a drought for McCallie and Baylor basketball when it comes to state championships. So let's talk a little history of the rivalry. We love the Baylor-McCallie rivalry. Love to hate Baylor, as they say. You know, bad blood between the schools, of course.
I think Baylor would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not to speak on their behalf.
Right. Well, you can.
You
we-
can.
We also love to cheer for
You have that permission.
But yeah, let's talk. I mean, last year I thought was kind of a weird year when it came to Baylor-McCallie.
It was. So last year we first met in the Best of Preps Championship, and
Right.
Baylor, I think, went like 2 whole quarters without scoring.
Yeah, it was a weird game. Junior Clay got his 3rd MVP in the Best of Preps.
Yep.
He was Mr. Best of Preps. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give him that nickname.
That's great. Well, I would like to point out that actually part of our 15-1 season was a Best of Preps Championship,
Right.
our
Right.
first in a long time, because McCallie is obviously 3-time reigning champs. Beyond was the player of the tournament, so that was great.
Yeah, kind of passing the sticks off. And then last year, of course, what was the McCallie game first?
Yeah, so
McCallie?
first it was the McCallie. So I want to say last night we lost to CCS, which I was very happy to see because I would have been a nervous wreck going
Y'all
into
are
this.
undefeated.
If we were undefeated, it would
That's
have
a
been
good. That's a good way to spin it.
It would have been
Anything
it would have been very parallel to last year. I think McCallie was 18-0 heading into the Baylor McCallie game last year. At the SAC, we came in, I think, won 54-51. Randy Brady had a really clutch game there.
Did you and I commentate that game?
Wasn't it a comeback of sorts?
That was maybe this.
Or was that the second game?
The second game was the one where McCallie, it was in Duke Arena, packed out Duke Arena, as always. And McCallie was
So
up
it's so
42.
small, it gets pretty easily filled.
Yeah.
McCallie was up
Caught in there.
42-30 late in the third quarter.
Yep.
And then there was kind of a fracas with our senior guard Trey Jackson and McCallie guard Shannon Kelly, where like they got in a little
Shannon
fight.
Walker.
Shannon Walker, sorry. They got in a little skirmish near mid-court. Both crowds got really into it. And then the comeback was on after that. Beyond made some big shots. Boris Rostanovich had a 3-point play, and Randy had a 3-point play after a steal. And I think we pulled that one out 55-53.
Yeah, so I mean, both games both regular season games are very close. Of course, the Best of Preps
Per
I believe, is
usual.
not.
Per usual.
not
Though.
that
I mean, they are
close.
always doozies. Baylor
Yeah.
McCallie basketball.
Great
It
game.
doesn't matter if it's at SAC, doesn't matter if it's at Duke. They're always going to be close. I actually wrote down home court advantage is kind of maybe not really a thing. McCallie is 10-6 at Duke Arena since 2002, and Baylor is 9-8 at the SAC since 2002.
I actually noted the same thing. I think because we're in the same city, both teams bring so many fans. It's almost 50-50 in the stadium. So yeah, it's going to be competitive both games, I'm predicting.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be I'm very excited. I love, as I said earlier, going to Duke Arena, especially
It's the best.
as long as McCallie wins.
It's the best. It gets so hot in there. It's so packed and it's so loud. We've also got wrestling there this year too. But this is also, I mean, historic Duke Arena. It's our 69th season playing basketball there. So
yeah, that's long time, of course. And so obviously Baylor has a better record, 15-1. I believe McCallie's 13-3. But who are some players on the Baylor side who are going to stick out to you this game?
Well, it's going to start with the senior leadership. Obviously, the marquee matchup of the night is going to be Beyond versus Eric Rivers. Eric Rivers, I watched the Brentwood game. He looked like Junior Clay 2.0.
Oh,
Incredible.
Yeah, he's a sophomore too.
He's a sophomore, and he'll be starting in his first Baylor McCallie game on the road, and Beyond will be starting in his 8th at home. So that's the first matchup I'm going to look at. Beyond's our star player. He's our leading scorer. The offense runs through him. So I'm going to look for that first. The other senior leadership to watch out for is Lorenzo White. He's been starting since freshman year.
The quarterback from Baylor as well.
The quarterback, also known as the Italian Stallion on the court. He can go off for any game. He's kind of the heat check dude of, you don't know when he's going to go off, but any given game against, it could be Lipscomb or it could be Brentwood. Any of the
probably
extremes.
not the Baylor McCallie football game.
Well, again, I've never heard of that sport in my life, so I don't know what you're talking about. But the Italian Stallion, you could expect him to drop 32, Friday night or not. Watch out for him. And then Nick Kurtz, he is our new starting center. He's a sophomore. He's going to go down probably as one of the most successful big men in Baylor's history.
Heard it here first.
He's really, really solid in the low block, and really kind of the offense is predominantly just him and Beyond, and they're kind of yin and yang in the balance that they create to the offense. Beyond at the point, Nick at the low block.
So that's kind of the dynamic duo you got going for you guys.
You get a lot of Beyond feeding Kurtz in the post. You've got a lot of Kurtz kicking out to Beyond for threes, and then the other, our offense is kind of schemed around the three-point shot. So we've got a lot of shooters. Part of why we lost to CCS last night is we just started out 0 for 10 from the three-point line. It was an off shooting night, which is rare for us. You know, if we were to start off slow against McCallie, you'll see we're going to keep shooting. We're a shoot-or-shoot kind of team. We don't stop shooting. If we start off slow, we're going to just hope the next one goes in, the next one goes in. So we've got Grayson Linderman's a knockdown, 3-eye shooter. Blake Pruitt. Wiley Pippinger's a really solid three-point shooter. Bion and Lorenzo can do it too.
And this is actually not even a show. We're just filming for Coach Conradi to kind of get some.
Yeah, that's right.
So this whole shooting play style you're talking about, you think this is from your new coach?
Yeah.
You think this is more of the work of him?
Mm-hmm. This is very much a new system that Coach Price has instilled. It's very three-point centered, but it's also all about fundamental defense, which is something that is a tradition of Coach Clark's. That was already instilled in his players like Wiley and Bion and Lorenzo. Even if we're having an off shooting night, part of why we're 15-1 is we can count on our defense to keep any game close, no matter what.
So on the McCallie side of things, I think some players to watch that we're going to talk about a little bit. Obviously, Eric Rivers.
Yeah.
He had 24 points in the win last night against 2 nights ago. I guess if you're watching this on Thursday, against Father Ryan, which was a great game because McCallie started really slow, did not look great, but then they had this beautiful comeback. Shannon Walker had 12 points last night, and he had an and one layup to made the free throw, to take the lead, and from then on it was all McCallie. So I think that showed a lot of resiliency from this McCallie team. And Tony Jackson's another player I'm going to be watching. He's a rebound machine, as I like to call him. So long, I believe he's like 6'7". He's going to be great to watch.
Yeah, he's great. We've also got Anthony Watkins. He provides some senior leadership. Great guy.
Yeah.
So he does really well, and he's got a good dynamic with Shannon Walker because they've been playing together for such a long time.
Definitely, yeah, both.
And they have been not starters, but they've been playing on this team for a long time. But this is kind of their year to become the starters.
Right, because McCallie lost all 5 starters last year, which was a very great team last year. Also lost our coach last year, Coach Schulman. But Coach Conradi's come in. I think he's been actually a pretty similar coach to Coach Schulman. Been very encouraging of Eric Rivers to take over, even though he's only a sophomore. So yeah, I'm very excited for this game.
Well, my observation of the McCallie team watching the Brentwood game is that obviously coming into the season it was all question marks surrounding McCallie. It was the entire starting 5 had been gutted from last year. They'd all graduated, and a brand new coach. Even though he's kind of a crony of Schulman's, had gone to UTC, been coaching there I think at the same time as him, so he's kind of stepping in, filling the shoes there. But it was all question marks. And having watched the Brentwood game, I was like, oh man, the chemistry really seems to be starting to click.
Yeah.
Like, it was maybe a little sluggish to start off the year.
Absolutely.
I think y'all were maybe like 7-4, 9-4.
Had some bad early losses.
But now it looks like the team is really starting to play together, and it all is starting at the point through Eric Rivers, and that offense is running through him and it's flowing through him. And it looks very dynamic and very good, and I think it's going to make for a great game Friday night.
Absolutely, and he's just a player that I'm going to be so excited to see in 2 years when he's a senior.
Yeah.
He's kind of similar to Bion, where he's got the 8 games against Baylor. He'll be in a prime position to do well.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of those guys who start as sophomores and freshmen. You watch them very early on. It's like the gestation period where they're kind of figuring things out. You're not really sure, but then they blossom. And they metamorphosize into these perennial all-state all-stars who are...
It's an interesting metaphor.
Yeah, gestation, and then it turns into blossom.
It's a flower.
Yes, it is a flower.
But yeah, I think, McCallie-Baylor, a great rivalry. One of the best in the state. Absolutely.
It's the best in the state. Brentwood NBA people, if you're watching, I'm sorry. You're not right.
Yeah.
This is the best rivalry in the state. Chattanooga has something that you don't. I'm sorry, Nashville. I love
please
you.
Give us something. But yeah, I think the mutual respect we both have for each other. There's a connection there historically. So yeah, I think it's going to be hopefully a good, clean game. That's what we want to see.
I mean, your founders went to our school, so obviously there's nothing but love. Nothing but love.
Right.
Aside from the hate, which is very strong.
Yeah.
But nothing but love.
Just a good balance of love and hate.
For sure.
That's all you can ask for. So, Christopher, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me on.
I hope you get off campus
It's been
safe.
a pleasure.
Fingers crossed.
If you need any security,
follow me on Twitter at Kennedy_Christo. McCallie, folks, if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. I'm sure we've talked on there before.
That was not in the script.
Nope.
Well, we thank you guys for watching, and we're going to cut back to Mac and Patrick after this.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep on throwing it back to ourselves, but my bad. So, we're wrapping it up here.
Great interview with Christopher.
That was really fun. Christopher's a great guy. He's a good sport.
Passionate.
Yeah, so we'll see how it turns out on Friday for him and for us.
Yeah.
But we're gonna come out with our next episode in 2 weeks, I believe. We're going to talk a little Super Bowl.
Yep.
I'm so excited for this weekend. It's a great sports weekend. We got Baylor McCallie basketball, and then we got two of the best AFC and NFC championships I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
So incredible. Patrick, right here, right now, who you got?
I think I have a tough time with this, Mac, but I think I'm picking the Patriots.
Okay.
And I'm picking the Saints. I think it's going to be a Drew Brees, Tom Brady Super Bowl. What about you?
I'm picking the Patriots, and I'm picking the Rams.
Okay.
I think the Rams can beat the Saints. Patriots-Rams, that would be a great game. Patriots-Saints, that would be a great game. Really, these 4 teams remaining?
It's the best combination.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about that next week. Maybe we'll get some teachers.
Yeah.
Make a little video to see what they're thinking.
Exactly.
So that'll be really fun, but not until then. So no show next week, but in 2 weeks. So take it easy, McCallie. Thank you.